Let's talk about this idea that so many of us have. This belief that if we just had a little more money, all our problems would just, poof, disappear. It's something we chase, but what if that whole idea is just fundamentally wrong? Oh, man. We've all been there, right? That little voice in the back of your head that makes this exact promise. This quote just nails that universal dream, doesn't it? The idea that a fat bank account is the key to finally unlocking some real, lasting inner peace. But is it really that simple? So let's start right there, with that dream. Why are we so deeply convinced that more money is the secret to a quieter mind? Okay, so here's the core paradox. Yes, absolutely, money can buy you safety. It can buy comfort, it can buy convenience, and it can definitely get rid of certain kinds of stress. Nobody's arguing with that. But here's the crucial distinction. It can't buy genuine internal tranquility. And that right there is where our expectations start to clash with reality. But see, this is where that whole dream starts to fall apart when you really look at it. The author's own experience sheds light on some really surprising and, frankly, uncomfortable truths about what actually happens when you get more money. So get this, the author tells this personal story. After landing their first really significant pay raise, you'd think the feeling would be relief, right? Freedom. But nope. Instead, the very first thought was, great, now my expenses are just going to go up. And watch how fast this disappears. The thing that was supposed to solve the anxiety just created a brand new flavor of it. And that perfectly describes this concept we call the rat race. Our brains are incredibly fast at adapting. What feels like a huge luxury one day becomes your new normal the next. And as soon as it's normal, what do? We start looking for the next thing. It's like we're constantly running, but the finish line just keeps moving further away. Here's another powerful myth the author believed, that money would fix relationship problems. I mean, no more fighting about bills, right? Well, the reality is, money doesn't get rid of conflict. It just changes the topic of the argument. You might go from fighting about not having enough money to fighting about what to do with all the money you have. The real issues, communication, shared values, they're still there. And what about that fear of the future? Surely a big pile of cash can protect you from that. But what the author found was, that's not how it works. Fear isn't really tied to the number in your bank account. It's tied to what's going on inside your head. True peace, it turns out, is an inside job. It's got nothing to do with your financial statement. Okay, one last paradox for you here. Money gives you options, tons of options. But if you don't know who you are or what you really want out of life, that freedom can be completely paralyzing. Instead of feeling liberated, you can actually end up feeling more lost than ever before, just drowning in a sea of choices without a compass. And all of this brings us to the real turning point, the big aha moment of this whole thing. After realizing that money isn't the solution, the author finally figured out its true and way more powerful purpose. I want you to just think about that for a second. If money isn't the cure for our worries, our relationships, or our fears, then what on earth is it for? This is it. So simple and so powerful. Money isn't the source of who you are or what makes you happy. It is simply an amplifier. It just takes whatever is already inside you and it turns up the volume. Think about it like this. If you're kind of a frustrated person already, more money just gives you more and bigger things to be frustrated about. If you're a naturally generous person, money just expands your ability to give. And if you're deeply insecure, well, wealth can make that 1,000 times worse, making you question why anyone is ever nice to you. The key takeaway is, the work isn't on your bank account, it's on you. And once you get that, once it really clicks that money is just a tool, an amplifier, your whole relationship with it can change. It stops being this master you're desperately trying to please, and it becomes an ally, a tool that you can use with intention after you've done the internal work of figuring out who you are and what you're all about. Okay, so this is all great in theory, but how do we actually put it into practice? This last part is all about application. It's about shifting our entire mindset by asking a much better, much more powerful question. See, for most of our lives, we get stuck on question number one. It's all about the how. How can I get more? But the real breakthrough, the real change, happens when you find the courage to ask question number two. Why? What is the deep, fundamental thing I'm actually hoping to get from this money? And after a lot of soul searching, here's the answer the author found. The ultimate goal wasn't the money itself. It was the freedom that money could buy. The freedom to build a life that is perfectly aligned with your own deepest personal values. And that's something a bank can never give you. That's something you have to define for yourself. I absolutely love this metaphor. Money expands the field. It gives you a bigger playground with more toys, but it doesn't tell you how to play. Your character, your choices, your wisdom, that all has to come from you. And so we're going to end by turning this question over to you. Really think about this for a second. If every single financial worry was gone tomorrow, what would your life actually look like? Who would you be? If you don't have an immediate answer, then maybe, just maybe, the problem you've been trying to solve was never about money in the first place. Maybe it's about direction.